So wait, we're gonna use it. Fun. Video fun. Alright. Hey, the
Your Grace, Archbishop Thomas Susan of the Archdiocese of London, Fellowship of Secretary General of the School of Reverend Father Dr. Alfred Jaina, Vice Chancellor at the University of Reverend Father Dr. Director of Academics of the Catholic University of Malawi, Reverend Father Dr. All our presenters, Director of the Intercongregational Institute, the ministers, all Reverend Fathers here, Chairperson of the National Mrs. Virginia Manhattan, all members of the media present, and all protocols observed. Allow me to welcome you all to this momentous occasion as we are commemorating the 30th anniversary taking our faith together. As we all know, it's a two-day conference which will start today and end tomorrow. Without wasting much of the time, allow me just to have a quick run through of our program. So we will start with an opening prayer, and we will have welcome remarks and opening remarks as well. And then for our session this afternoon and evening, we have 5 presentations. According to the program, they're supposed to be an hour each. That is the presentation as well as the plenary session. But because we're slightly behind schedule, we'll give 45 minutes for each presentation, so that the presenter can have 25 minutes and then 20 minutes for the. So we intend to do with our conference model as well. So before I ask the university chaplain to give us we'll start with the opening prayer by the university chaplain. But before the Vice Chancellor gives the welcome remarks, just wanted to have an introduction. So we'll just quickly state our names and our positions where we're coming from, and then we'll invite the Vice Chancellor for welcome remarks. Thereafter, our Archbishop, Reverend Thomas Lucas, his opening remarks. And as soon as that's done, then we'll go into our session this afternoon, and our session moderator is Father Cosmas Tanzonde. So soon after the opening remarks, we will come forward so that we can begin the presentation. Reverend Father Kondwani, coming down with the opening prayer. Thank you.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Almighty and ever living God, we come before your presence this afternoon, thanking you for giving us safe tips from our places. As we begin our conference today, we'd like to commend in your Father's goodness the repose of the souls of the Archbishop James Joanna, Bishop Felix Nkoli, Bishop Matthias Timore, Bishop Alessandro Solari, Bishop Gervasio Di Sendera, whom you called from this world, and their souls rest in. We also like to pray for Bishop Alan Janguera and Monsignor John Roach, who at that time were present and also took part in writing the letter we are commemorating today. Their desire was to see a human being living with dignity. Because of many challenges, some of the desires they anticipated have not been met. However, I thank you, Almighty Father, for the presence of our leaders in the church, because of the good work they continue doing, speaking for those who have no voice. I ask you, Almighty Father, that through this conference, whatever will be presented and whatever will be written down, it will help our leaders, most especially political leaders, open their eyes so that they can see the suffering of the people, and also open their ears to hear the cry of those marginalized. Remove the spirit of selfishness in them. Help them to realize that they are there for the good of mankind. We ask Almighty Father to be with us throughout this meeting and be with those who are still traveling to this place. Grant them safe trips. We make our prayer through Christ our Lord. My name is Rama Manoro. I'm from Nation Foundation. My name is Aya Bakadoro. I'm coming from Nation Foundation. I've left our clothes so I will be forgetting. My name is Frank. I'm from the University of Love. That's from Catholic District. Reverend Father Peter Kajembe, Pastoral Secretary of Chelsea. James Kwezalamba from the Archdiocese of Lagos, Pastoral.
Father Patrick Kajoma, student at Catholic.
Father Menas Nanda, rector of the Father Maverick Malaba, Associate Secretary, Diocese of Mangoch. Father Cedric Malaba, Pastoral Secretary, Diocese of Father Raymond Kondo, Pastoral Coordinator, Diocese.
First United. Yamahaza, National Unity Council. I'm just saying that it is because of the list of
CCJP, Riban Sapato from Etugas. Yeah. For the Patrick J1. Thomas Susa. I take care of that level. Also, I facilitate council meeting. Catholic Place of Milan. Godfrey Power, Catholic University.
Baggage, Catholic University of Malawi, Father of Theology. Godfrey Sumai, Director of Academic Affairs at the Catholic University. She did it from the Catholic. Proceeding to Karawa, Catholic University of Malawi. I will be now to call upon Vice Chancellor of the Catholic University of Malawi. Welcome, everyone.
I stand here briefly, welcome all of you. This very important occasion, which will be commemorating the 30th anniversary of a very important letter that the Bishop wrote in 1992, giving our faith. As a university, we are very, very pleased that finally this dream has come to fruition. We've been thinking about this, planning about this event. We thought before the year ends, must ensure that we congregate together, gather around momentous pastoral letter, living our faith. I would like just briefly to say that as a university, I was chatting with Bishop Stephen, and he was asking me, what is the relevance of your university? Direct relevance to our institutions, direct relevance to our church, the Catholic Church. And I organized to answer that question. But quickly I said, we are challenged as a university. What is that you are doing for the church? In terms of research, in terms of linking with people directly in the church, and also in terms of shaping the minds of people in the Catholic Church. And our answer has always been, Your Grace, my Lord Bishops, we are trying all we can shape the minds of the people. We are hoping that that kind of shaping the minds of the people will be able to contribute to country and contribute. But I would like to say what we are going to do today and tomorrow, a direct contribution to the church, to the body of teaching within the church, the body of thinking within the church, an understanding of things within the church. At the university, on behalf of the Dean for the Faculty of Law, we have programs that are running, but we also have short courses or envisage short courses. I would like to take this occasion as I welcome you, delegates to this conference, that together on the sidelines of this very important meeting, let us think out how we can contribute towards that project, how we can realize that project of having short courses in theology, social sciences that have direct bearing on the Catholic Church in Malawi. It was only coming here, I didn't have any prepared speech because I thought I was going to be short, and I think I will invested a project that I would like to get interested in. A project about pastoral letters written by the Catholic bishops in Malawi. Project that has been there for the last perhaps 10 years or so, and it requires people who are interested in matters like this. And I think this is a group that is interested in matters like this. Here is a project where, as a university, we want first and foremost gather all the pastoral letters that have been written by our bishops from 1961. There was a statement in 1960, as I will explain, but 1961 up until now, and the context out of which those letters were born. That's an exercise that needs people like yourselves, like ourselves, that needs minds. Number three, try and evaluate the importance of those letters, the effectiveness of those letters. Were they effective? Can they speak to us today? Are they speaking to us today? It's a big project, just a third of it done, and the easiest part, just documentation of what bishops have already written. When you go to stage number 2 and stage number 3, you require minds like yourselves. So you forgive me for using my welcome remarks, get interested in those two projects. One, the short courses that we are talking about. Two, this project that we have of gathering together past letters and going deep through those letters. We can talk about this on the sidelines of our meeting. Other than that, really, from our university and on behalf of the university, very happy here, very happy that we are marking this letter, belongs to us within the letter that changed Malawi. We're very happy and I welcome you all to this meeting, this conference. I do hope that the council and my own bishop, the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Mante, come and give us opening remarks. I thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Right, Reverend Marcos Stima, Vice President. Vice President. But you are the Vice President of BBCM and Bishop of the Diocese of Bangkok. And you are hosting us here in Bangkok. You are the one hosting us this conference. I would like also in a special way to welcome the national chairperson of the laity, Mary Virginia Carter. Most welcome. And also welcome Mr. Chibana, CCJP National Secretary. Welcome members of the clergy present here, invited participants and guests, academic and administrative staff of the Catholic University of Malawi, the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The as Chancellor has set on, but I will do it more to set another tone for the talks. Let me begin by wishing you members present here this conference and people of goodwill who are outside and within this country a happy 30th anniversary of the 1992 Lenten Pastoral titled Living Our Faith. Celebrating 30 years of this 1992 document is not something that can be taken for granted. It is indeed a milestone, and it is something that the Church, and as well all Malawians from all spectrums of life, should celebrate as we are celebrating 30 years of this pastoral letter. As a church, and also of course all Malawians need to recognize that we have come a long way from the times when it was unthinkable for a Malawian, educated or uneducated, political or traditional leader, young or old, male or female, who dare or stand to politically critique the status quo of that time. It was unthinkable. So we have come from a long way. It took the hard work, sacrifice, and perseverance of the Catholic bishops in 1992 to enable us to reach this far. Catholic bishops in 1992 really did a wonderful job for Malawi. It is something that we need to celebrate today. And not only today, we can celebrate for over years. It was unthinkable, critique the political status quo of that time. Very difficult. Therefore, we have gathered here to commemorate the landmark 1992 pastoral letter issued by the Episcopal Conference of Malawi that marked a turning point in the history of our country, Malawi. Latin, there is a saying that goes, "Equus fugit," and it says, "Time flies." Indeed, a total of 30 years have gone by since the issuance of the famous letter which shook Malawi's political foundations, and it came out when winds of political change were blowing across Southern Africa in the early 1990s, which were initiated by the fall of the Berlin Wall 1989. Many countries in this part of the world transitioned to multi-party system of governance in what a renowned political scientist, Samuel Huntington, called the third wave of democracy at that time. The pastoral letter came out 3 years after the first ever faithful visit to Malawi, when St. John Paul II set his feet on Malawian soil. Some of us met him, some of us touched him, might touch your saints, and also saints. Some of you were not there, you were not yet born, but we saw him and with some of us. So, 3 years after his visit, the pastoral letter came, living our faith. This visit coincided with a centenary of the first attempt to evangelize Malawi by the early missionaries at Mponda, right here in Limangosh, in the year of our Lord 1889. That's why we have to invite Bishop Lima to continue the work of the early missionaries in Limangosh. Thank you very much for accepting Bishop Lima. As we continue to celebrate 30 years of the 1992 pastoral letter, Living Our Faith, there is a need to recognize that the journey has not ended here. missions in particular to reread the sign of the times and see the relevance of this document to the present Malawi. That's why the Bishop Conference of Malawi, the Catholic bishops, really invited our Catholic University to really reflect on this pastoral letter and see what impact has given to Malawi, and what can we do to make it a fruitful pastoral letter. In their 1992 pastoral letter, the Catholic bishops made it clear that the issues raised therein require an ongoing and more in-depth reflection. That's why we have come here. We want really to deeply reflect on the issues raised by the Catholic bishops in 1992. Briefly, some of you were not there, or you were very young. Let me briefly just give you what they wrote in that pastoral letter. The revolutionary and revelatory pastoral letter of 1932 addressed the socio-political turmoil and one-party dictatorship of the Malawi Congress Party, MCP, of that time. The MCP of that time, please. In the letter, the bishops were critical of the state for promoting a situation where only a minority enjoyed the fruits of the development and could afford luxury and wealth, while the majority lived a life that was hardly compatible with their dignity as sons and daughters of God. It was difficult at that time. Just very few had that chance to enjoy the wealth of this country. The majority were really languishing in poverty. 1992. The bishops were very critical of the falling standards in education, health, and social transformative issues, and they castigated the state for its failure to deal with bribery and nepotism. Lastly, the bishops made a polite but direct to be responsive to the call of all Malawians. Indeed, this 1992 pastoral letter brought a new socio-political revolution and conscientization of a better understanding of the prophetic role of the church in society. Some people will say, no, you bishops, your duty is to create the way. Your duty is not to talk about politics, but talk about issues of the Bible. Here we are. The issues of the Bible, so we live in our faith. And this conference today is one of those ways in which, as a country, we wish to mark the release of 1992 document, which will forever go down the history of the country. We proudly call the home heart of Africa. This we know. Malawi is called the home heart of Africa. But current date is very hot. Very, very hot. An opportunity like this one, of commemorating living our faith, is for us Malawians to see if we have made strides in translating into action what the Catholic bishops envisaged some 3 decades ago. It's also a time we took a stock taking of our system of governance and see we have made any tangible gains or losses in realizing the dreams and aspirations of the Catholic bishops 20 years ago. 2 years ago, I don't know which year, maybe 2017, a South African musician called Leta Buru. I don't know if you know the song. She composed a song called Not Yet You Good. Some of you know it, and you can dance. Which literally would be Not Yet Freedom. If I were to relate this song to our context, I would add that we have not yet achieved the dreams of the Catholic bishop in 1990. Not yet before the freedom. Probably bishops in 1992. These things are not yet dinner. Now, probably, I would say that. The Catholic bishops of Malawi, on a number of occasions, and in recent pastoral letters, bemoaned the failure of living up to the spirit of the famous pastoral letter of 1990. 10 years after the release of Living Our Faith, our beloved country continues to grapple with the socio-economic challenges that have reversed the gains we made from the time we attained the dawn of the democratic era. Putting more structures, we are reversing what we gained during the one-party system. Therefore, dear friends, we are called to reflect on what the bishops really are asking us. There are social biases like tribalism, nepotism, corruption, bribery, which were highlighted in the pastoral letter, Living Our Faith, continue to beset our country, such that we have remained one of the poorest countries in the world. Sometimes when you go outside Malawi and they ask you, which country are you coming from? Very difficult one of us, some of us are feel ashamed to say, I come from Malawi. I was talking about poverty, telling the children in one of the schools, I was asking some parents in the school, and I said, you are lucky, you have shoes, you have this, you have come with us, but in Malawi it's very difficult to see some of your friends going to school, having this very difficult. When I ask them, please, you have questions. A young girl asked me, why are you so? Let me explain that question. It's very difficult to explain. Because I started to know because of climate change and that's what I say. At this conference, this meeting here will be an important step towards flashing out elements that continue to delay our country's progress and to propose strategies that, when incorporated in the national agenda, will help in putting our nation better heights. At the time we are talking of the Malawi 2063 development blueprint, we need to be firm in our resolve to attain this economic milestone. It is our hope that ideas to be shared in this conference will act as a springboard for a continued discussion of what we call, or in our recent pastoral letter entitled Commemorating the 30th anniversary of Living Our Faith. As I conclude, it is my wish that this time in history, we Malawians must reflect and ask ourselves, what legacy are we leaving for the future generation of this land? Children, think only about yourselves. What about our children? If we continue to cut trees, forestation, what about our children? What will they see in Malawi? Do we want them to continue living in a Malawi that is thriving in tribalism, nepotism, corruption, division, and poverty? Or do we want them to have a Malawi that allows them to prosper and enjoy the benefits of our labor, simply because we had taken strides to achieve the aspirations of the bishops that were issued in 1992? I obviously believe that many Malawians will agree with the matter. It can only start with us alone, ourselves. We shouldn't really invite other people from other countries to tell us what to do. We know where the problem is. The problem begins with us. We can remove this problem and start anew. No one can do it for us. Although we can be grateful for the the sacrifices made by our bishops in 1992, it is high time we carry on the mantle for full participation in a corrupt-free Malawi. We can do it. We need a corrupt-free Malawi for ourselves and for our children. We can do it if we participate together. Therefore, I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank all those who have contributed to the conference, to this conference, by what they are going to present, and also those present here to participate in this conference. You academicians, political leaders, economic leaders, theological leaders, cultural and pastoral leaders, those who are present here, I would like to thank them because they are going to contribute more as we are commemorating this pastoral letter, very important indeed in our faith. May I thank the University Administration for accepting to host this conference, asked by the Episcopal Conference of Malawi and the Catholic University Administration accepted it. That's why we are here. Therefore, members present here, I'd like to wish you a happy time commemorating, celebrating the Pastoral Letter of 1992. And God bless you, and I thank you for your attention. And now, the commemoration of 30th anniversary of the 1992 Pastoral Letter, living our faith is officially open. Let us celebrate it, let us talk about it, and let us put whatever is written there. Thank you very much, members of the conference.
We lastly thank you, Your Grace, for your welcome words. We will now begin the presentations, and the first to present will be Reverend Father Dr. George Blair, Vice Chancellor of the Catholic University of Malawi, who is the former Secretary General of the Episcopal Conference of Malawi and former Rector of St. Peter's Senior Seminary in Zomba. Father George is a PhD holder, and he attained his degree from the Pontifical Afonsianum University in Rome. May I kindly request all presenters to be conscious of the time since we began a bit late. Let us do everything that we are able to catch up with the time before us. Father George.
So once again, all protocols observed. I come with hope now. Enter. My presentation based on a quick study that I have done on the pastoral letter, living our faith, and a study that has two axes. One, historical perspective, the other one, hermeneutical perspective. Why did I choose these ones? As much as we are celebrating the story and the success of this letter, but I think very little attention is given to understanding the letter itself and understanding pastoral letters from within their job as letters the Catholic Church. That is why I thought that the best way to approach this, yes, together with counting the successes, the success stories of the pastoral letter, but I want to try and go deep into the history surrounding the pastoral letter, and I'll start very far away. You will forgive me when I do that. So I have grouped the history into three categories. One, remote, so very far, but the far history has a bearing on the pastoral letter itself. The other one is proximate, so close, near. Those of you who think, well, it's too remote, I don't think I subscribe to that being part of the background. Fine, but I do think it's part of the background, and I explain why. And number three will be the immediate history surrounding the pastoral letter itself. Number two, I'll be looking at the principles of hermeneutics, that is interpretation of a document like this one. Go inside and understand even the weight of that document in terms of the document that belongs to the church, the Catholic Church. So yes, in terms of introduction, I think this project is very important. This is what I'll be doing, and this is, I think, what I'll try and engage you on. Number one, I said, yes, I understand that living our faith, yes, has been touted as one of those game changers, and I think most of our presentations will be on that level. But I'm saying, I contend that together with that, but even beyond that, and even I would say without that, you can still look at the letter, pastoral letter, just like any other letter. Look at it from a different perspective. It's a letter that is born out of a historical context. So regardless of the kind of impact that that letter has or is going to have, the letter is born out of a history. And that history has to be understood, that history has to be reconstructed in order to understand what we're talking about. So there is need to recover that. And the second level, the other level is, and in my view, of equal importance to understand the pastoral letter is determining for ourselves the proper reading of that letter. How do you read that letter? What is the weight of that letter? Catholic terms, in Catholic circles, in case I don't manage to finish those are 30 minutes, but in Catholic terms, in Catholic circles, letters do have different weights. What is the weight that is contained in this letter? So that we understand what is the level of a pastoral letter, a letter that is written by all the bishops. So we are turning to history, we are turning to hermeneutics in order to try and uncover the very gist of this letter. So I'm not interested, we are not interested much as this, more than much as most of the days will be on covering why this letter is so important, what does it do. I just want to focus on the letter itself as it is, and perhaps through that, try and push for an understanding for all pastoral letters. What are pastoral letters about? So we'll start with history, the history part. So I did warn you already that I will start from very, very far. And indeed, I have started from very, very far. As you can see, 1859, before all of us were born. So Malawi began in 1859. Well, it's not true that it's contended by people. The first one to say this, but it was a white man who came and said discovered Malawi in 1859. And but the point I would like to make, or the point I would like to make here, is that this David Livingstone, when he was coming to open the routes for trade. Yes, his coming also meant missionaries were coming to Malawi, but his coming also meant politicians were coming to Malawi. So at the very start of what we call Malawi, at the very roots of what we call Malawi, these issues of trade, politics, and religion are intertwined. They're together. The Catholic Church, unfortunately, because after when he came, our Protestant brothers came in that order. You can read that in my paper eventually, but we came in very late. So when we are talking about trade, politics, and trade politics and the business, Catholics Catholics are silent. That's the point why I'm beginning that far. So in 1891, when we had declared British protectorate, land over the land of the lake, then we came in late. And we pushed to the next one. When we came in, we tried a little bit, but things did not work out for us. 1889, as the Archbishop said. So we came back in 1901. We tried in Blantyre, but it failed because our Protestant brothers and sisters had already settled, because they came in after David Livingstone. We couldn't get into Blantyre, we couldn't get into any city. We started our missions from the rural areas. Zama, sorry for if there is anybody from Zama, but it is rural up to now, 1961. Gurudi, I come from Gurudi, very rural, maybe except for the university that I was starting up, 1903. Neno, we started from outside. So when we started late, we were coming in from outside. We are in places where things are not happening. So missionaries are in rural areas and very much interested about parochial issues that are just of that area. They were not in places where things were happening. So the larger historical setup of Malawi, where things were happening, politics and the like, that was not part of what the missionaries, the first missionaries, were close to. The next one, please. Sorry. But at some point I was talking about reading from him because they did not finish the PowerPoint. I'm sorry. So don't be surprised. When I do stop, I will stop now after 5 slides. So, around 1901, when we began, around that time, as we know, the history was growing dissatisfaction because of what was happening in the States, the Wake, the Tangata, and the like. At the same time, we find another phenomenon coming out, independent churches coming out, and these independent churches were the ones that seemed to warm up to the political, economic, and social changes of that time, and being the voice of the voiceless, the voice of the the poor. Where was the Catholic Church? Where were we? We are nowhere. So we are nowhere at the beginning. We are nowhere when things were beginning. We started from the bush areas. We are nowhere even at this stage when these revolutions were happening around 2050. To the extent that because of our thinking and because of our theology, which is still very much part of us, that we don't want to meddle in politics, maybe we have changed a little bit, but to the extent that our own church, when Chirembwe started the uprising in 1950, our own church in Mood was attacked. Because Chirembwe was against the white settlers, he was against also the government of the day, but together with that, he was against also Catholics. Why? Because the Catholics were seen to be very quiet. And why were they quiet? Because, well, we don't want to meddle in politics as a principle. So, the white settlers were on the side of the Catholics, although the Catholic Church was not, at this stage, from my readings, was not completely absorbed by the government. So it remained aloof. But because at that particular time, when everybody wanted them to take sides, they did not take any sides, they were seen to be part and parcel of the problem, and that's why our church was burnt, and there was an animosity between the church in Gurudi and the PN Center. The next. So, after the Chirembwe uprising, then we had what were called, it never succeeded really. We had the founding of what are called native associations. After the uprising, native associations, mostly these are a group of teachers, clerics, the educated masses. Again, we are not there as a church. I think there are only 2 representatives, that's what it is in we are part and parcel of this exercise. But otherwise, to a large extent, these native associations were associations that were all over the country. The Catholics were not part and parcel of that kind of movement. So, no Catholics. Why no Catholics? Why no Catholics? Because of our understanding of submission to authorities, right to authority, because also we remain neutral, and because also those who are in education and know that until 1927, our education was very much about educating those that are on the lower levels, just getting them to read and write, whereas our friends, Protestant brothers and sisters, had already grown up and they were quite educated. But also because the native associations had a Protestant flavor. Most of the leaders were Protestant, mostly Presbyterian. The meetings were being held in church circles, prayers that were Presbyterian. So again, the Catholics were not there. What am I saying in this paper? In short, I'm saying at the beginning, that's why I began far away. We were not there when Malawi was being formed. We were there. I'm not saying we were there when Malawi was being formed, but not really there in terms of what was happening on the ground. We are not there when people began these uprisings in up to 2015, that began by independent churches. We are not there at the stage when native associations are being born in this country, because these native associations came actually out of who were learned, and we didn't have enough learned people, and our theology did not support that. And because the native associations themselves, as you know, are the ones that formed Malawi Congress Party, African Congress, National African Congress in 1944, these associations from different places came together and formed now a party in 1944. We were not even there in Malawi Congress. We were not there as Catholics. So, and then around the same time, 1953, there was this Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland Central African Federation. Now we are cornered. We are cornered from two angles. One, there is this new party coming from the native associations that we are not part of. The other side now, the settlers and the government of the day have now formed a federation. Where are we going to go ourselves? So, of course, we're not part of that. We kind of tolerated this Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland insofar as it was, they had legitimate authority, they followed the procedures, and that was okay. But we are cornered. Move, I think that was that's where I stopped from there. Yes, I think it is a thank you, but don't get that thank you. Okay, so that was the context out of which pastoral leaders were born, but very remote context. And the point I'm making over there, or the point that we should take home, is that for most of that period, the Catholic Church and our leaders were caught on the wrong side of things, and they're not in the midst of things happening. So it was only actually after Malawi Congress Party was formed, and then we have this federation, when that bishops, bishops, the bishops woke up. No, they woke up. They woke up. But woke up because of circumstances. Being down from this end and the other end. We had to give a solution to that kind of problem, that kind of situation. So we woke up from our slumbers, and because there was growing massive opposition to the federation, and also people were dissatisfied. So bishops of 1959, forced by these circumstances. Many and they issued a statement that is important when we start. That was made because of the circumstances of that time. And in that declaration, what the bishop said was, one, we understand the aspirations of people, we understand that people are against the federation, but we leave it free to you people. Do what you want. It's not up to us. Leave it free to you people to do what you want. Interestingly, around the same time, I think you can remove this, just put the first page for the first page where I summarize what I'm going to do. Otherwise, people will be looking at that and getting surprised, where are we? So, yes, that was important, because this is what we're doing. Anything else, I think we get. Yeah, so around that time, that was also the time when it has been issued, and we have now the federation on the one hand, and then the Congress Party on the other hand, and the church pushed to a corner kind of response. Part of the response of the church, particularly in the southern part of Malawi, was to try and reform a party, Christian Democratic Party, to counteract the forces that were on the other side, because the other party was almost fully run by Protestant churches. I know that there might be a few here without being disrespectful, but these churches are called Protestant. Don't ask me why. So anyway, so we wanted to counteract this reaction by the church. So a statement is coming first, because the reaction cornered by the nation and the Congress Party on the other side. Now this time, they're thinking, well, let's have our own party. And unfortunately, that was the problem. Because a lot of people in Malawi had already subscribed to the philosophies of the Congress Party. So, the party that was started mostly in Blantyre and supported the Archbishop of Blantyre at that particular time, the floor. When it came to elections, actually, they had very bad. Very bad. It was a backlash for us. So, before the elections, of course, there was a letter that was written, and that was the first pastoral letter in 1961. The other one was just a statement. But it was a pastoral letter that was written in 1961, building our nation, building a happy nation. There are people towards the elections. And in there, it said again, we don't support any party, because at that particular time, people were saying, no, these people are supporting this party formed in Blantyre. So we don't support any party, we leave you free. We support the independence movement. So, that, in my view, is what I call the approximate context of the pastoral letter of 1998. Not immediate, I'm going to the immediate now. So, in more context, missed out opportunities, were silent. Approximate, we tried to measure into that, forced by the circumstances, and we were caught on the wrong side. Not the immediate context. That happened. That was the immediate context. After 1964, we became independent, and obviously we had tried, or we seemed to be supporting the wrong party, particularly those in the south, because those in the central region, Bishop Fade particularly, we are also supporting MCPs, so there was a bit of a clash, even within church circles, which meant that we were weak as we were going towards the elections as a church. After that, honestly, the way to survive, that's a condition also, is that we were supposed to be quiet, fighting by circumstances. And quiet were from 1964 right here up to 1992. Because there are a number of heroes that people will say, no, we're that quiet, or we're doing this, or there was that. But in terms of official writing, we didn't want to repeat as a church, or they didn't want to repeat as a church of what had happened. And because of what we did in history, and that's how I started very, very far. So the period between 1964 and 1992 was a period in which our Congress Party and the One Party regime was growing in strength, becoming autocratic. The church was getting quieter and quieter for those obvious reasons. Yes, there are moments, I think individually, bishops were somewhere were talking, preaching. Yes, I know, I was around that time, I know the bishops that were quite strong. But in terms of the conference of bishops, took up to 1992, that the bishops began to speak, and they speak in a written form in this document that we have here. In those days, some people were saying, when it came out, we got this one. This thing here changed the shape of Malawi. And I was saying, I'm not interested much as the change is important. My paper is not about the impact. I'm not interested in that much as that is important. I'm interested in trying to reconstruct the historical circumstances around this letter to understand why we acted the way we acted. In terms of time, because of time constraints, I'll quickly now go because the period also between 1964 and 1992 is quite interesting, but I think we can read about that in the paper. But I'd like quickly to go now into the gist of interpretation, which is the second arm that I mentioned about. And I think, in my view, this is where theology is. Because this is supposed to be a theological conference. A theological conference is supposed to engage also some kind of theological framework. Otherwise, you might as well be doing social science or political science. But how do we engage the letter from a theological perspective? How do we understand letters like this from a theological understanding and theological perspective? So, I thought there is a book there that, by the way, I use quite a lot by Pastoral. Yes, that one, creative. I was doing my studies because I was doing also studies in understanding documents of the church. This was the mask that particular time, many years ago, and I haven't read any book better than this up until now. The Jesuit, for the one would be pleased to know that I think you really know. The Jesuit, creative fidelity, weighing and interpreting documents. How do you weigh and interpret documents? Because we hear Pastoral letter. What is the level? What is the weight of the document? What level should I put? And what are the ingredients that make that letter to be on that particular level? That's what theology is also about. To try and engage and understand that. So, letters, pastoral letters, just like this one, are written by levels of authority, very different levels. The Catholic Church and the Catholic tradition are a bishop, by the way, authority, in terms of authoritative people in the Catholic Church, bishop and the Pope, those are the two. The bishop and the Pope, not priests, not lay people, the bishop and the Pope. So, a letter can be written on the level of a bishop. Bishop is a pastor of a diocese. The level and the strength of that document is on that level of a bishop talking from diocese. A number of things can come together in an association, Episcopal Conference, as they did in this case. So the weight is increasing of the bishops that are in that. They are speaking to a wider circle. Pastoral letter written to dear brothers in Christ to everybody. Sometimes they even say to all people of goodwill. So the level has changed. over there. There are also, number three, you have also cases where all the bishops in the world, together with the Pope, sit down in a council, in an ecumenical, what is called an ecumenical council, all the bishops in the world. And again, the level of authority of the documents is also different. So we're moving up. Bishop, National Conference, Council of all the bishops in the world, for their representatives, then finally the Pope himself. Pope in the councils, because these councils don't come every day, has the same authority as if when he has all the bishops together plus himself together. So that's one to give an indication of the levels of authority and the levels that you need to understand in order to interpret that letter. So I give you a quick look at the pastoral letter itself, and you see that on page 1 already you have a citation from Bible, Mark 1, chapter 1, verse 15. So the authority of whatever is cited, and also authority of cited. So the weight of the document, not just resting on the fact that many bishops came together. No, the weight of this is also resting in the very fact that here is something that is cited in the Bible is referred to. You have also cases where there are a number of those in terms of time. I think you read the paper afterwards, but you see also like on page 2, the bishops are quoting a letter by Pope Paul VI, evangelization of people. So again, the weight is not coming just from the fact that they are together, but the weight is also coming from the fact that they are quoting from the Pope. And that's why you'll notice that good pastoral letters will not be quoting individuals, they will not be quoting Father Gulea or Father Sumani. They don't quote that Father Manigamba said this. No. They will quote councils, they will quote very solid theologians, but most of them not even theologians. They will quote themselves, letters that they have written before. The Archbishop was talking about just in 1992 we said this, and now this year we said this. So they quote themselves because the weight of the document lies also in the quotations, the references that you make. So truth does not lie in truth lies in everybody, yes, right? But in terms of weight, ascribing weight, for purposes of interpreting the level of that document, you just have to ensure that it is in with documents that are coming from higher circles. And then finally, also the principles. Interpretation of pastoral letters also depends on what are the principles that are being propelled. And these are principles that, for some reason, as Catholics, but even those that are not Catholic, have agreed on what are called Catholic social teaching principles. Some say they're 7, some say they're 9, some say they're 20, they're not 20. But when you go through this document, you see that there is an effort, even without mentioning the principles, there's an effort to talk about those principles and to ground the letter in the principles. Because by grounding the letter in the principles, it means you are giving it a weight. And this sounds good, not just sound good, but it is what it's supposed to be, and it is what you are supposed to take care of when you are even trying to read and understand the document. So the principles have the dignity of the human person, coming up, preferential option for the poor and marginalized, principle of common good, principle of subsidiarity, and I always add in some circles, theologians, in our circles, justice as a constitutive dimension of preaching the gospel, very, very important. That justice is not a principle that is outside. But if you want to preach the gospel, justice matters have to be occupation. And then also stewardship, and the other one also, which some of us in our circles is not just adding, but it is actually reflected even here, link between justice and charity. That before you talk about charity issues, make sure that justice issues have been taken care of. You can't talk about charity before you kind of satisfy the levels of justice. So I want to give the example of somebody who is not paying their worker well, and then they say, okay, at the end of the month, how can I get this pair of trousers? How can I get this dress? That's not charity because you have not satisfied the levels of justice. Only that which is over and beyond the levels of justice that can qualify to be charity. So finally, just quickly, I just want to go through some of those and see how the letter fares in terms of giving it weight, by referring to these principles. So, on paragraph 1, the letter starts with the dignity of and unity of the humankind. There you have it already. Dignity of the human person. Already, the first sentence. Talking about man and woman created in the image and likeness of God, and so on and so forth. This is one of the first principles. And by the bishops referring to this, they are grounding their letter, their pastoral letter, on a very, very high level and on a very, very solid ground in terms of principle. The bishop also on paragraph 3, the lament of a poverty that hardly is comparable with finding it hard. Two individuals doing well. It's not fair. As a church, we must decide with those that are suffering. In whatever we do, even in politics, some people say, I get confused. I don't know where to follow. Where are the poor? Where are the poor? Go and follow them. That's where you should be going.
The first one is to download the virtual audio cable. Get it for free with the links in the video description. Once you've finished installing the virtual audio cable, it will create two new virtual audio devices system. The first one is a virtual speaker called cable input, and the second one is a virtual microphone called cable output. Let's jump back over to OBS Studio, and now is a good opportunity understand the difference between output and monitoring. Output is the combined audio and video package that OBS is send either to your stream when you click the Start Streaming button, or to the recording when you click the Start Recording button in Studio. The third option down here, the virtual camera, only has video as part of its output. So output is the first type of signal out, and the second type is monitoring. Monitoring allows you to listen to the audio from your OBS setup while you're streaming. What you hear in your headphones through the monitoring function is different than what the stream. That is the feature that we're going to be leveraging together with the virtual audio cable. So step number 2 is to set up the virtual audio cable as your monitoring device. Click on Settings in the bottom right-hand corner, then go to Audio and scroll down to the Studio, you can select which of your audio sources do you want to monitor, and in this case, which of those sources are going to be sent to the virtual audio cable and your video conferencing software. So step 3 is to select the right sources for monitoring. Click on the gear icon here and then pick Advanced. There is a list of all the audio sources software, and I'm going to use Zoom as an example. Here we are inside of a Zoom meeting using the OBS virtual camera. Let's take step number 4 in setting up our virtual audio cable. I'm going to go into the audio settings in here. Here inside the Zoom audio settings, I have a list of all my microphones. One of them is the virtual audio cable. And as soon as I select the virtual audio cable, you can see that the audio that we configured in OBS Studio is coming through here inside of Zoom. Are you getting value? Hit the like button. OBS and the virtual camera is such a powerful tool for sharing impressive visuals in your Zoom meetings like I'm doing right now. With this setup, I can easily switch slides, but I can also switch layouts and put my camera in the corner. I can remove it completely. I can quickly switch to my webcam, and then I can bring back my slides again. If you would like to copy my setup, just go to marcuspresents.com/OBS. For more great tips on how to use OBS Studio for video conferencing, click or tap the screen right here. In that playlist, I share plenty more tips of all the amazing things that you can do with OBS Studio. For example, creating a meeting timer. My name is Marcus Seppala. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
In this video, I want to do a follow-up to some questions that I got concerning using OBS and Zoom together. So let's go. Hey folks, AJ the CEO here. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, thanks for stopping by. And on this channel we focus on tips, training, strategies, reviews, and builds to help modernize your media ministry. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So I had a couple of questions, and obviously I want to apologize because it seems like I overlooked one of these main questions, and a lot of people wanted to know, how are you going to be capturing audio from your conference, from a Zoom conference, into OBS? And